So one of the most important parts of the incident response is performing forensics. So for the most part, when there's a crime or there's some type of incident that occurs, let's say somebody breaks into somebody's house, the first thing that the person is going to do is call the police, obviously, and then when the police comes, he's going to pretty much take note of what was missing, how did the attacker come in, what was the point of entry, and things of that nature. And we could take that a step further. Let's say there's a murder. Um, that investigator is going to look at different types of things that were on the scene, and those things are known as artifacts. And those artifacts help the detective or the forensics analyst determine, better determine who committed the crime, how they committed the crime, what time they committed the crime, and all things of that nature. And he gathers all that information together, and then he goes out and tries to find a type of, I guess, a suspect. With that information that he gets, maybe he finds that fingerprints, and from the fingerprints, it's of a known felon whose fingerprints match, let's say, a gun that was found on the scene. So that is forensics from a non-digital point of view. So let's talk about when there's a some type of incident on a organization. Let's say an employee wants to leak sensitive information. In this room, we're going to attempt to do that. So we're going to perform data analysis. So the scenario is that an employee was suspected of leaking company data. A disk image was retrieved from the machine. So a disk image is basically like um, a hard drive with different stuff. So basically on a hard drive is all the information. If somebody takes your hard drive, it's basically whatever you saved, files you've saved, internet cookies, internet history, things of that nature. That's all on your hard drive. Pictures you've saved, documents you've uploaded, a lot of information. So you are assigned to perform the initial analysis. Further action will be determined based on the initial findings. So my job as a forensics analyst is to pretty much go through and find information that'll help me find a suspect or help me answer the question. In this case, the question is, an employee was suspected of leaking company data. So we're going to try to figure out, did he leak company data? And we're going to do this with a tool called Autopsy. It's a free open source tool that can be used on Windows and Linux. And it basically helps you gather these information, view this information. So while it loads up. All right, so we have Autopsy up now. And one thing I just want to make sure that I understand is that, this is just a tool that's helping us answer the question of, did this person leak company data? So it can get very deep as well as other tools, but we're just using it to answer a specific question. So let's not get too confused with it. So in order to analyze that person's drive, we have to upload a file. So there's a file in here, not a file, a drive, because we were given a disk image. So the disk image is our like is our reference point. It's pretty much where all of the information is. Just like, for example, a house would be where all the evidence is. If a murder occurred in a house, we're not going to look in a restaurant or at the mall for information about the crime. We're going to go to the house, look at the floors, look at the blood that's everywhere, look at the weapons, look at the body. So in this case, we're going to be looking at a disk image on this suspected employee's computer who is being suspected of leaking data. So in order to do that, we're going to go to documents. I think it's on the desktop, and it's going to be sample case. So click sample case. Open, and then it's going to be this one here. So there's a lot of information, but we're going to do the .aut, which is the autopsy file. So we'll click open and we'll let it run. All right, so it's done. I'm just going to click no on that. And so basically here we are. This is the GUI for this tool. There's a lot of information: add data source, image, videos, geolocation, timeline, close case. We have keywords list, keyword search, what I think is going to be very helpful when finding specific information. So if we go here to data source, this is basically the data that we're using, which is the disk image. So if I click here, sample case, we're going to have, we're going to see NTFS, all that information, and we can even go more deep into what you'll see, boot information. And this is all from the hard drive. So the hard drive has all this information, users that are logged in, program files, things of that nature. So if you wanted to perform a deep analysis of what was going on, we could, and Autopsy allows us to do that. First question is, what is the full name of the operating system version? So we'll just go through this and figure it out. So let's see. So we have file types. Let's see, data sources, sample case. So this is everything. See file types. File size. So we're looking for specifically the operating system version. So if you look at operating system information, this is just another more extracted content you can see here. So if we look at operating system information, see system. So we see system. So we can right click on this and then view source file and directory. So let's just give us more information about the about it, and I'll just scroll this up so we can see it better. All right, so we see security. This is all just different information. So some, for example, like this is just security that it's not even being able to interpret for. So security log, we do see that. We see software, and here we see program name, and this would be the name of the operating system. So it's a Windows 7 Ultimate Service Pack 1. Ultimate. Okay, I think I misspelled. So the Windows Service, Windows 7. Let's see. Okay. Ultimate Service Pack 1. Okay. All right. Now, so we found that information, and all we had to do was just go through the extracted content and go to operating system information, and we scroll through all of the different data types. Well, I don't know if you would call these data types. These are just like data. And obviously this is an anomaly because look at the size. The size is huge. So yeah. So I'm gonna get out of this. Just, and then one thing is just I'm just gonna try to make sure everything is organized just so everything's not over the place, because it could get really ugly. So we're still in sample case. This is pretty much where we're going to be getting the bulk of our information from. So the next question is, what percentage of the drive are documents? Include the percent in your answer. So look for the tab that will display various information about the drive. So we're on the drive. We see thumbnail. It's not really giving us much. It's a good summary. And let's see. Okay. So we have the operating system, Windows 7 Ultimate Service Pack 1. OS drive, Windows 7. Images. Okay, so we have documents. It's 40.8%. So this drive is 40% documents. So that's a huge amount of documents. So let's say he's an employee, so I'm sure he has like different files and stuff. Executables, which would be applications. Some are unknown, other videos, audio, which is normal. So it's 40.8%. 8%. All right. The majority of file events occurred on what date? So let's go back and go back again. I'm gonna clean this up. So we're a sample case. We can also, I'm just gonna look for majority of files. So if we're looking for files, file types, deleted files. Let's see. Majority of files. So we can look at source files. And then this is it, because I remember before we looked here and I saw that this is obviously an amount. This is a big amount on one day. So this is on March 25th, 2015. March 25th, 2015. 2015. All right, so what is the name of an installed program with the version number of 6.2.0.2962? So this is like a more specific, it's asking for the version number of an installed program. So I would utilize this right here, the keyword search. So I'm just going to type this version number 6.2.0. 2962. 2962. Let's see what we get. So we should get something. If obviously if that's a version number of a program, it's obviously going to have to give us something. So, and there we go. The first one, eraser.executable. So this is the executable, and it's called eraser. Let's do some research. Let's see what eraser is. Secure erase files from hard drives. Oh, okay. So I mean, it does what the name says it does. An advanced security tool for Windows allows you to advanced security tool for Windows allows you to completely remove sensitive data from your hard drive by overriding it several times with carefully selected. It's interesting. Carefully selected more than likely information, but patterns. And then obviously we see Windows 7 it's compatible with, and that's the service pack. And it just answers our question even more. So the file name is eraser. A user has a password hint. What is the value? So let's clean this up. Come back here, clean this up so we know what we're looking at. And we'll look at operating system user account, and we see a source file, SAM, will likely SAM, default admin user. And it looks like password hint is IAMAN. Okay. All right, so numerous secret files were accessed from a network drive. What is the IP address? Were accessed from a network drive. So this person apparently accessed secret files on the network drive. So let's see. So we can go to recent documents. Let's see. Secret. Look at that. Right in front of our face. It's not too hard to look at. So I can do view source file directory so we can actually see what's going on. And we see that this is the drive path here. Pricing decision, that's very sensitive information. Hey, this is an insider threat, man. So secret project, data, pricing decision. This is why organizations do background checks. This is why organizations do certain things to make sure that, you know, the person that they're hiring is not going to, and I'm sure this employee was given a background check, but you never know someone's motive to do something like a data leak, because this is secret project pricing decision. Now imagine if this was like Google, for example, and somebody who was working at Google was on like the a team that dealt with pricing decisions and had sensitive information about, you know, different stuff, and this information was leaked. It would be like severe. So that's what it is. This is the IP address. So this most likely is the attacker's IP address. It's 10.11.11.128. What web search term has the most entries? Let's see. So let's clean this up some more. And off the bat, we see Internet Explorer 11, data leakage methods. So if you think that, let's say you're at work and you're just doing like random Google searches, let's say like a normal search that, you know, wouldn't cause a red flag would be like, let's say, oh, what's the weather or something like that. I'm just going to check the weather. But this person is looking at leaked confidential information leakage cases. So he's probably trying to see like do information. And he did this so he was pretty much doing this type of search regarding information leakage from 1802 all the way up to he to 21. So this probably took like 3 hours for him to get what he needed to get and leak information. So he was Googling that, and it's not really smart because obviously if I try to Google search a bad word like like a weapon or something, and I just how to make a weapon of some sort, obviously it's going to get flagged and somebody's going to see it. So he was Googling this multiple times. This was the most common one, and he was just going away at it. So it's the information leakage. Did I spell that right? Yeah, cases. All right, so what was the web search conducted on 3/25/2015 at 21:46? So this is the same day. No, it's not. It's 3/25. So we're looking for 3/25 at 21:46. So my mistake. So he was doing this for like 2-3 days. He was planning this for about the whole entire execution took about 3 days. From started on 23. I wasn't paying attention to the date. So 23 to like 25. So like 2 days, 3 days. So it's 21:46. What was the web search conducted on 3/25/2015? Let's see. 21:46. 44. So anti-forensics tools. So he Googled anti-forensic tools. Let's see what happens if we Google this. Hopefully I don't get flagged. I'm not doing anything crazy. So what are that? It restricts access to files, folders, and drivers. So he was trying to block anybody from doing this. So this was not some random person. He knew what he was doing. He wanted to block. It restricts access to files, folders, and drivers, encrypts files and folders, hides files and folders and drives to make them invisible, makes files, folders, and drives read only. Okay. So what binary is listed as an interesting file? So it's another extract content. So if we go to interesting items, cloud storage, Google Drive sync. Let's see what's going on here. Can I be running DOS mode? That's very familiar. This program cannot be running DOS mode. I think this like has to do with like P header information. Yeah, that stuff looks very familiar. Okay, so, but obviously none of this is like really readable. So I'm just gonna go back, and looks like the answer is in front of us. So if we go here, this is like the source file, Google Drive sync.exe. So it was listed as an interesting file. So it could most likely have some I wonder if there's a way we can view the information. Okay, well, it's a sample case, image, program files. And one thing I want to go back to. So basically, the secret that with the IP address, when we were getting the IP address, let me go back to that. So let me see, how do I go back to that? If I go to recent documents and right here. So this is most likely what was leaked. It's a secret project. So anything labeled as secret, I mean, if you're familiar with DoD, we all know what secret means. Like they have a whole clearance just for people to access secret information. So If you look here, this information was what was leaked. This stuff right here, this is what he leaked. Company secure network drive. I mean, obviously in a company, you're not going to have the drive named like this obvious network company secure network. Obviously, you're going to have it some other information like names and stuff specific to what function that specific drive does. But obviously for the sake of the lab, it's going to kind of show us that it's secret project pricing decision. And it's huge. This information could have been leaked to a competitor, and they would give them information on what they're trying to leak out, and maybe they could copy that information, and from there steal their plans, everything like that. So, all right. So, what is the binary listed in there? So, I'm going to go back here to interesting files, and it's Google Drive's sync.exe. Drive. .exe. All right. Okay. The last question: what self-assuring message did the informant write for himself on a sticky note? What self-assuring message? So I guess the insider threat, the informant, I guess you could call him, I guess wanted to maybe had some anxiety about what he was doing and wanted to make himself feel good. So if we go to, and also you see resignation letter, man, this guy was, see if we can see what he was going to say. This is just funny to me because it's like, it's kind of realistic. I feel like this could happen, and it's probably happened to many organizations. Dear Mr. Manager, this letter serves as official notification of my resignation from the company. Effective today, thank you for your guidance. And this was on March 25th. So he leaked the information. I would like to thank you for your support and the fine years I spent with the organization. That is cap. Because if you liked it there, you wouldn't have leaked the information. But anyway, so extension mismatch detected. So here, it's kind of hard to understand this question to find the sticky note, but here it is. It also shows Outlook, but the sticky note is here. And this is more than likely everything will be okay. So, or it says tomorrow, everything will be okay. So tomorrow, ... everything will be okay. That's what the self-assuring message was. So, and what day was this written? Does it give us a day it was written? It kind of like, interesting. Okay, I wonder if it gives us a date though. I think we can look at the timeline and see if we can find like a specific date. Timeline is another rabbit hole I think we can get a lot more information off of. But for the sake of this part, I'll just stick to this. But more than likely, this was on his last day. I wish it would show like a date though on this file. Let's see. Properties. Nothing. View source and file and timeline. 20 exactly. That makes so much sense. So 24th, he created the file, obviously because he put his resignation letter in on the 25th, which was going to be his last day. So obviously on the 24th, he was just kind of like just antsy. Oh my gosh, I'm doing this. So now it's like he put everything will be okay to make himself feel good. And it's like this is like evidence. This is like a criminal venting to somebody that, oh, I committed a murder or something like that. And the murder, I guess, what do they call it? The witness would kind of, be interviewed and say, okay, he told me what he did. This is just him saying that. And I mean, why would you put that? Tomorrow, everything will be okay. On the 24th, when on the 25th, we have evidence that your resignation letter. So that means you would have completed your mission. You would have done your job as an informant. So That will be the answer. Tomorrow, ... everything, how do we write that? Will be okay. Interesting. All right. So we were able to gather information, and from the looks of it, obviously we're not going to make a decision on whether or not this was we're going to prosecute him, but obviously it says further action will be determined based on the initial findings. So this is a strong case. I mean, we have an IP address with the information about the secret files that were accessed. We have him Googling information leakage cases, anti-forensics tools. We have a lot of information to go off of to not make a actual like final decision. Obviously, we would have to interview him, see what information was leaked and if he sent that to the other, what he did with it. So, I mean, just for the most part, this is an initial analysis and we got a good amount of information.